How's it going, everybody? I am Donut. This is, of course, a Black Lives Matter, all cops are bastards, and trans rights supporting channel. If you're not supporting that shit, you can get the fuck right off this channel. This is Spider-Man Far From Home. I assume we're going to be picking up on whatever that guy was from last episode in jail. He was the one doing the job with the Vulture and all that. It was very, very little of it, but it seems like we might be doing something that I don't know if he'll be the main villain or not. I don't know if Vulture will be, relevant already, right again, immediately, or if we're going to, I feel like a lot of times with villains, you want to do a skip iteration, right? So I don't think that Vulture's going to be in this one, but we've had a time skip. It's in 5 years. I don't think 5 years is, 5 years would be crazy little amount of time for everything the Vulture did, but he's also white, to be fair, and actually, I don't know when Homecoming took place. It's been maybe like 6 years. Either way, it still hasn't been enough time. Either way, I don't think Vulture's going to be in this, but I do think, well, the other guy, I mean, he didn't do nearly as much stuff publicly as the Vulture did, so I suppose he will get out. Don't have any other predictions besides that. I hope Ned gets to have a little bit more of a role in this movie as the guy in the chair. He was just the friend role last movie, but I hope this movie we can see what he'll be doing, as a sidekick sort of character. And, yeah, that's it. I don't know what, Far From Home could mean. Like I said, it might be... Originally in Endgame, I said my prediction for this was that it's going to be space with Captain Marvel and stuff, and it still seems like the only thing I can think of for the name Far From Home, but I don't know if they're going to do something like that, like space and everything, so maybe just international, but after having Endgame and then a thing called Far From Home and it just being international seems kind of weird, but maybe that is what it is. Let's get into it. If you want to see the reaction, check it out in the description below. The full thing's down there. You know how it goes by this point. Check out the Patreon for other full-length stuff, and yada, yada, go watch it. Okay, we are talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. I really do not want to talk about this movie.
Fair.
I am... Honestly, this is probably going to cause a lot of surprise to a lot of people, but at this point, currently, right now, I am kind of just not planning to do Phase 4 anymore. This is a good point to jump off. I feel like it's the end of a saga.
Yeah. I think anyone who started your actions, the thing they were promised more than anything else was, you're going to get to the end of Phase 3.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back, do all the TV shows and everything. Again, as I've said from the beginning, I am not, sticking with the TV shows like I was the movies. If there's a TV show I watch I don't like, I'm dropping it, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going back to the TV shows. It's going to take me a long time to get back up to this point. By the time I get there, maybe I will change my mind. But I'm not interested in this world anymore. It doesn't feel real, and it doesn't feel like the characters have, the more that it goes on, I feel like there's less and less pathos to each character. And the characters are becoming less and less like people I can, one, root for, or two, understand and, just relate to on a personal level, besides they just, they did a cool move.
Right.
There's so little there to like about almost any of the characters, aside from them doing cool moves anymore. And... yeah, I think this movie, everything going on with the blip and the snap originally and everything like that was just, I would prefer them to not talk about it. It's, I don't know, I think that is what solidified it more than anything. Just the way they talk about the blip this movie meant this is really how we're going to be talking about all these kind of events going forward. It just seems like this is the kind of thing we're going to be doing, and I'm not into it. It's just not, It's not for me. No thanks.
Fair.
So yeah, I think this is my last MCU movie for it. I mean, either way, it was going to be for a long, long time, but it might be ever.
We'll see. Yeah.
This might have put the nail in the coffin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you want to even start? Because I don't know where I even want to begin with this. I've already had my rant in the middle of the reaction about how much I hate fucking this
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and goddamn, I hate this Peter Parker so much.
Mhm.
I've tried so unbelievably hard to like it. I like so much stuff for being different. Just
Right.
even if it's just different, and that's the only thing it's doing is being different, then
Mhm.
I will like it. Like even the Death Note, the 2017
Yeah.
movie, I enjoyed. It was a badly written movie, but I enjoyed it because it was a different enough-ish take
Sure.
on the franchise, or the whatever you want to call it. This I don't think is different enough to warrant how bad it is.
Okay.
I think it is, like, I have not read the comics, and I have not read enough, like, Spider-Man to know, but it feels like Spider-Man who kills people, or Spider-Man who's more violent, has been done before, or just in general. The whole time I was watching this movie, it really felt like this. I have no idea if this is true or not, since I'm talking out of my ass, but this felt like it was a storyline from the comics after Doc Ock was Spider-Man.
Mm.
Can you say yes or no? Just yes or no.
No, but yes.
Okay, we'll get into that later then.
Sure.
But that's so much what it felt like. It, yeah, I don't know what else I have to say about that. Just that
Sure.
this Spider-Man does not feel different enough. It feels like they really want to do the normal-ish kind of Spider-Man, but then they're making it just, it's not working. It's not working, and it's the worst I've ever seen.
Like, as I said in Endgame, and I'll still stick to it, I appreciate that we have this giant, big-budget Spider-Man that is, like, very different, and that it is the, like, what if Spider-Man was Tony Stark's protege, which is a really weird, different thing.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I don't think it uniformly makes it good, and I think this movie honestly pushes a little too far into trying to be more like normie Spider-Man. Like, the ending scene, I think, really hits it for me. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that for the first movie, they made this, they put down a hard rule of no Peter swinging through New York. Like, that is the Spider-Man thing. That is what we desperately want to do, but we're going to force ourselves not to do it. And we're going to try a whole bunch of different, settings with him. Or, if he's going to be in New York, he's going to just be standing on a building or, jumping, or we don't see him swing.
yeah.
And then, like, I don't think they earned the, like, I get the thematic idea of he's been to all these different countries and now he finally gets to swing around in his home, but it doesn't really feel like his home.
And I think what you just hit it there. It doesn't feel earned. Like, he does not feel like... I'm not watching it going, this is cool. I'm watching it kind of going like
Right.
thinking he's about to run into something or hit something.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel earned yet. It doesn't feel like he is... Like, when you see Spider-Man, like, swinging through the city, it feels perfect. It feels like every movement is exactly calculized and everything. And with this movie, establishing that he barely even has Spidey sense.
Right.
Like, I don't trust him to swing around the city. It feels nerve-wracking rather than, like, fun and freeing.
Yeah. Like, I think Civil War did a very good, he's barely even Spider-Man. Like, he's, just a kid that was starting to use his powers.
Yeah.
And then Homecoming, I feel like Homecoming, kind of did the, he's not, no one thinks of him as a real hero. He doesn't think of himself as a real hero, but he wants to be at the top. So it makes sense that he was, like, he's just smashing through buildings and stuff and wrecking people's backyards.
Yeah.
But we didn't really get a movement from him doing that to being the kind of Spidey who can swing around the city and who is very competent.
And even then, he's not, like, he's getting really close to stuff. He is going, like, whoa,
Yeah.
He's clearly not meaning to do it.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think that's what you mean by it's not earned. It doesn't feel earned, and we're seeing that it's not perfected yet.
Yeah, it's a weird middle ground. Like, this is the Spidey who still is trying to figure out what being Spider-Man means, but also he's been to space.
Yeah.
Like, it's a strange middle ground.
And I feel like narratively so much of this has been him trying to overstep his bounds and them trying to tell him, like, you are just the neighborhood, Spider-Man. And then now this movie is throwing that all out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that really annoyed me too. Like, I was just like, I felt like we were trying to introduce Spider-Man too early, and they were trying to, like, be like, don't worry, guys, we're gonna get to the neighborhood Spider-Man stuff, like, eventually. Like, Spider-Man has to learn his lesson. It's the reverse of, like, the normal thing where he, like, gets bigger. But, like, no, we're just kind of never gonna get neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna get any street-level heroes in the MCU, whether, like, even in the Disney Plus TV shows, I highly doubt it.
Right. And yeah, it feels weird and clunky to me. One thing I really liked that I still don't think the stuff they cut out fixes it, but there is sort of an explanation for his Spidey sense in that, like when he's using the Iron Spider suit, he just doesn't dodge.
Yeah.
And like especially back to back with the Aunt May scene where she throws a banana at him, it is a real like, oh, that's why he can't sense the banana. It's because he's so used to like standing around and getting shots. And
but to be fair, the way it has always normally worked is, like the first time he ever has Spidey sense because like a car is coming at him from behind, right, or something like that. So yeah, I mean it's like. To say that he doesn't have Spidey sense because he's not using it is weird. I don't really know what's going on with the Spidey sense, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. It just seems like it's a thing that he has to train.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Like, and that was definitely the arc they were going for in this movie. Or, like, the arc with his senses of, he already has the Spidey sense, but he needs to actually, like, train it before he can use it against Mysterio, because all of his other senses are going to be fooled.
Yeah.
And, like, I like the concept of that. Like, that concept's come up a lot in the comics, and it works. It's a neat, like, this is something only Spidey can do. But at the same time, it feels like we don't really tie that to the arc of the movie.
Or any, like, thematic, thing.
Yeah.
It is just, like, a power-up. Like, it's not tied to any emotion. It's not tied to a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, same with the drone shit.
Yeah, the drone shit is it's so weird because it feels like it'd be very obvious to do he shouldn't have these drones, or it's really bad that he was given these drones. And before you saw the movie, it'd been a while since I saw Far From Home, like literally since I saw it last year. I legitimately remembered that was, like, that they addressed that. I thought that was, like, I thought that was the ending. I forgot that he just sent him back into space, and it's like, yeah, I still have him.
I was not, like, this big fan of the end of Iron Man 3 with him blowing up all the suits for no real reason. More just that they didn't want them in the future movies.
Sure.
But, yeah, I like... It's really weird comparing the end of Iron Man 3 to the end of Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
Where Tony is like, you know what, I do have to blow up all these suits and everything. It's bringing all this, like, danger to my family and blah, blah, blah. And Peter's like, all right, I'll use them later.
Putting them back.
Putting them back. Way more than Tony had.
Yeah.
All seemingly more powerful than any of those Iron Man suits at the time. Like, these drones are nothing to fuck with. I mean, they're terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, and like I don't know what they're going to do with it in the future, but there's something you could do with the fact that there's now video footage online of Spider-Man saying execute them all with my drones, and then at the end of the movie it's like, yeah, he still does have the drones and he can execute people with them if he wants to.
Yeah, it's such a hard, like, I was trying so hard to find some reason to care about either side in this movie at all. I'm like, I mean, they could go back through time and do something. Like, I'm trying to find any fucking reason to care about these people. But it's like, I really, I don't care what happens to Spider-Man. I don't care what happens to, Mysterio. Like, it's just a movie where I'm just, like, watching it happen, Like, even in, like, Doctor Strange or Captain Marvel was not as boring. It was boring at the very beginning, but then the last half was just bad. Doctor Strange was extremely boring all the way throughout, but I was curious and learning about, Doctor Strange and everything like that, and there was more there, and like, also I did like Wong and everything, like Wong I was kind of rooting for, but, I mean, and it's like all of Earth and stuff, but this is like, I don't, like, there's also no, like, I don't know what, what's gonna happen. I don't know what their goals are.
Right.
Like, the Avengers kill people constantly, so it's like, this guy's killing people all the time too, but it's like, so are the fucking Avengers, so it's like, it's hard to, care anymore about any side of this. And, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, just that.
I mean, I do think that's, extra valid, because we don't really know what they wanted, apart from, we want to create the biggest hero. Like, that's usually when someone says that, there's also like an extra thing at the end. Yeah. Like, whether it is we're doing it for nefarious purposes, or whether it is a, like, no, we legitimately just want to be the biggest hero. Yeah. But we don't really know enough either way to figure out, like, what were they trying to do with Mysterio. I like the concept of Mysterio. I like that in the credits, when you see, like, his actor's name, they also do a quick breakdown of, like, okay, like, what is, like, where do they pull, like, in universe, what references did they pull for the suits? Like, he is supposed to be a combination of Thor, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther.
Yeah, that makes Black Panther, really?
With, like, all the glowy stuff.
Okay, I
like,
guess so.
It's supposed to be, like, vaguely Wakandan in the same way that, like, his triangles are supposed to be, like, vaguely, like, magic sorcery.
Yeah.
Like, he is designed to be someone where the average person looks at him and goes, you know what? Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I definitely look at him and go, like, well, that's Alien Doctor Strange. Like, I wasn't thinking anything of it because I was assuming that it was just, like, otherworld Doctor Strange. Like, we were going to get, like, yeah, of course there's other sorcerers. Why did you not think there was? And it would explain why there's so few of our sorcerers. There's other entire faction. It's like, yeah, we've been doing the real shit. But, yeah, Mysterio as a, like, villain, like, as a just personality, blanket, whatever, it was fun, Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, I like him well enough. I like him as the, like, if you're gonna do a, like, we're going to, touch on Tony one last time, I like Peter and Quentin as the two Tonys in the world.
Yeah.
And I do
it felt very calling back to, like, Stain as well.
Yeah.
Really
cool callbacks with the group, with the, like, yeah, this is the guy who also invented BARF. Remember how messed up that was? Remember when Tony was just like, yeah, I paid $711 million for this thing that I'm going to use once. I'm never going to use this again.
Yeah, I mean, and that was at the point where I said, like, well, there's no more redemption for Tony. Like, there's literally, he could save all of humanity, and it's still going to be not enough. Like, and he did. He saved all humanity, and it wasn't enough. He's still the worst person in the universe. Yeah. And it's like, so with Mysterio's, like, plan at the end, like, of, okay, if I'm dying, I'm going to, as one last thing, like, throw I'm going to throw Spider-Man under the bus, that way people will still believe in Mysterio and, like, hold it as the greatest hero, or is it I don't actually trust Spider-Man with any of this shit, and, clearly what they meant by the greatest hero is a symbol.
Yeah.
Like, not anything that can actually do anything, but just a symbol of hope for people. But it's also like, why? Why do we need that? Are people sad in this world? It doesn't seem like anybody really cares. People are kind of, like, upset they gotta repeat school, but nobody really is upset.
Sure.
So it's like, do they need a symbol?
See, I saw it less of a symbol and more of a, like, we want to finally be acknowledged. And if we can't be acknowledged as individuals, then we're going to make the symbol that will be acknowledged.
Maybe.
Like, together we can be, the number one hero.
Okay. Maybe. But it didn't seem like they cared about making Iron Man the number one hero. Which I feel like they would have complained more about, like, not that Tony didn't do this sort of stuff with it, but they would have said more stuff like, if, they would have listened to them, we could have incorporated this sort of thing into Iron Man, we could have done this sort of blah, blah, blah. But it was a lot of, like, this could have been used for the people. This could have been, I mean, really only with the BARF thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the arc reactor as well. Yeah. Like, it was a lot of, like, Tony's just keeping this for himself. And they sort of imply that other people can use it, but they don't say it, which is also why I don't want to really talk about Mysterio, because there's so little to talk about there. It's all so vague. And it doesn't seem like it's in a way that's going to get really revealed later on.
Nah.
It just seems like they sort of wanted to happy with it. Like, they're talking about, like, Tony could have used this for the people, but it's like, why are you doing any of this, though? It doesn't seem like you're doing it for the people.
Right. I mean, it's vengeance. Part of it is vengeance, at the very least.
Yeah. But, yeah, the hollow, like, the hollow reasoning is...
Sure.
Again, the movie is very lacking in thematic,
Yeah.
ness.
There's sparks, there are bits and pieces that I like. I like that, as a, like, counter to Vulture going, like, you know what? I lost. I'm not going to fuck him up. I'm not going to do this final parting shots. Mysterio has the chance to do a parting shot, and he's like, hell yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to dox him.
I do appreciate that.
I like that, for the final thing in Phase 3, I like Mysterio as both a combo of, the MCU is a thing about, like, created heroes, and so Mysterio is a created hero within this world of created heroes.
Yeah.
It is this, like, we're not going to peel back the curtain, but we're going to do like, hey, what if we just did CG, and this is legitimately just CGI, that is just, like, Spider-Man's just reacting to CGI. That's actually what's happening right now. And,
like, they could just be a hero.
Yeah.
Like, but, they want to specifically do, how do I put it? like it. Arguably, they could probably just be a good hero, and people would love them as a good hero if they just did heroic stuff. Because like the drones do seem about as powerful as Iron Man, if not more powerful. So, you know, it doesn't seem like they would have a hard time proving themselves as a hero.
Yeah, like it really. The fact they're kind of clout chasing and trying to be, you know, up there with the Avengers specifically, like a lot of people have nitpicks with that. With a like, you know, what if they meet Thor? That's gonna be real weird.
Yeah.
like it would make more sense if they were just, you know, like it's weird. It's a weird one.
It's a weird plan also with the Fury thing. Like, what does leading Fury along with this have to really do with the plan? Am I crazy?
I took that as a, like...
I mean, Fury, but...
Yeah. I took that as a, like, you know, they want to, like, they want the acknowledgement, and then they also want to kill Fury at the end.
Right. But, like, why not just kill Fury at the beginning? Like, is there something of having Fury be related to all this?
I can only think it would be so that when the Avengers eventually come back and they're like, okay, Fury's dead, but he trusted this guy. Like, he trusted Mysterio, so we're gonna trust Mysterio.
Alright. I guess so.
Like, that's as close as I'm getting. Like, that's why they would want to be working with someone else at all, anyways.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also feels really forced with the reason why none of the Avengers are here for this movie or anything like that is just because Talos didn't have their number.
Yeah.
It's like... It's a funny joke, but I really don't know if it's worth how incredibly forced this movie is with Spider-Man having to be a part of it.
Right.
Like, it's just,
Because, again, this is a movie where, like, the reason Spidey is important for Mysterio's plan is because he has, I keep on forgetting its name. You know, he has glasses.
Yeah.
And they need glasses to get access to all those drones.
Yeah.
But that means that he's not really that important. And then...
the reason why, like, quote-unquote Fury or Talos would want Spider-Man to help, like, you know, aside from Mysterio's plan, why it's so forced that they would be like, well, I guess we'll get Spider-Man to help. You're like, how did he think that they would get Spider-Man to help?
Yeah.
It's weird that Mysterio thought that he was going to get Spider-Man involved because of this.
Yeah, because then we also have the fact that it is taking place away from New York when, you know, a more simple movie would have been Mysterio needs something from Peter, so he goes to New York and he, you know, makes threats and fights them in New York as a, like, you're the only hero canonically in New York. And also, like, you know, maybe they're even, like, smaller threats, so therefore the Avengers won't, you know, come in.
Yeah, or even doing a, like, oh, you know, Thor showing up, okay, well, I finished it, I beat it, haha, you know? There could have been plenty of stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is just, it's a good twist, but when you think about the plan in retrospect, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's real weird.
We talk about that a lot, where there's been plenty of other movies where, like, you think about the plan in retrospect, you go over the character's, like, whole deal in retrospect, and it still makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this one does absolutely not.
It's real messy.
Yeah, it's like, it's the kind of thing where it's not, there's not, like, plot holes in it, or there's not, like, anything that, like, clearly shouldn't work 100%.
Right.
It's just the kind of thing where it's like, why did you think this would work?
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly a small percentage that would work, big percentage that it wouldn't. That's a very bad plan.
Yeah.
And not in a, you know, normal, you know what I mean.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like, it is this strange mix of Peter has to be on vacation, and also Nick Fury has to be replaced with a Skrull to explain why he didn't figure this out 10 times faster.
Yeah.
And also, this all has to be carefully puppeteered by Quentin Beck and the rest.
Yeah, because, like, watching the movie, I was like, you know, it was like, I like that we're, you know, making fun of Fury this much, but it was very funny, but it was like I guess this is just what we're doing with Fury now. Like, he's just going to be a comedic character. Like, it did feel out of character.
Yeah.
And I was all for it, because I was just like, fuck Fury, I don't care, we're going to make fun of him, I don't give a shit. But, like, it did feel out of character for him to just be, like, so trusting him all that shit.
And, like, on that note, they do drop lots and lots of hints that it's not Fury.
Yeah. But then also, so, like, Talos got the hint from Happy himself, which is crazy.
Because I assume, again, like, if Fury didn't really give him any information, that had to be Talos just big braining it on his own.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't seem like it was a, like, planned thing. Like,
it was just, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. It was not I'm going to say the code word.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where do we move on from here? What else is there to talk about? Ned was extremely disappointed in this movie. Like, Ned's plotline by himself was fantastic, but in terms of, again, as I said at the end of Infinity War, it really does not seem like, or, did I say the end of Infinity War, Endgame, where it really does not seem like Ned and Peter are good friends at all, like, they didn't even call each other after they got blipped back or anything. So, this movie really also establishes that it doesn't. Peter just doesn't really care about him at all.
Yeah,
it's the classic thing. I mean, it's every movie where you have the protagonist and the friend, and the protagonist just really does not care about the friend at all in any way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wish they did him better, or I wish they did their relationship better. Because like Ned and Betty's whole plotline, I think it was fine. It
was fine. The ending of it was like. I don't know. It was a funny joke, but it wasn't nearly as funny as any of the other stuff that they were doing. So I was like, I don't know. I would just rather them stick together because everything they did together was way funnier than the joke of them breaking up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get the reason for wanting to do the joke. It is a very like tight joke of like they got together on the plane, they broke up on the plane, but I don't think it was worth it.
Yeah.
So she said that was like the only good thing in the movie.
They're cute together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, if I had to choose one of the two big ships in the movie, I would have chosen them over Peter and MJ.
Yeah.
Because I do think Peter and MJ is also, like, it felt very designed to be this isn't going to last. In the MCU, where the MCU has a lot of relationships that just don't last, or don't work out, or, swerve it some other way.
And they always break up off screen.
Yeah. Like, I was really surprised they didn't do another, like, this is just, Peter's terrible luck. You thought they were going to be together because it's Peter and MJ. It's classic, but no, it didn't work out.
Yeah, it was so weird on double levels. One, we just jump into this movie with Peter being interested in MJ for fucking no reason. Like, just, in between the movies, all cares it all and happens.
Yeah.
Then, throughout the whole movie, I really did think we were going for it. Like, Peter's not going to get with MJ. I thought they were doing it, like, MJ and Brad were going to get together thing.
Right.
This is just how much, like, emphasis they gave Brad as a character on the plane, and then didn't really do anything with that,
Yeah. They give Brad so much setup.
Yeah,
and he's also he's on the news thing at the very start.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
it just sort of comes out of nowhere. But what else? There's Happy and Aunt May. They were fun this movie.
Yeah. This is the first movie where
Happy was fun this movie. Aunt May is so weird. I don't like Aunt May. Like, again, she's the problem I have with almost all the like children, like the baby. Not babies, children. But they're just too like. Almost every character now feels like they have to have one character in their life who is just constantly pushing them towards being a hero.
Right.
Despite, like, everything. Like, they'll come home with 18 broken bones and they'll be like, get the fuck back out there, bitch. And it's like, that's so weird that we have to have this for everybody now. I'm so not used to it. I'm so way more used to the opposite dynamic of, like, I had to go out there and fight. No, you're hurting yourself. But now everybody's like, well, my kid says I gotta go out there and break my bones again.
I mean, see, this is one of those big postmodern things with the MCU where people just said in droves, we hate that. We hate it when the hero, has a wife or a, parent or a loved one who's like, no, you can't go out. Like, so this is a direct response to it of, no, we're just going to have them say, you want to be a hero, go be a hero, you got to be a hero.
To be fair, all of my favorite stuff in Daredevil is the Matt and Foggy, screaming at each other stuff, and that is all the stuff that everybody hates in Daredevil.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. It is the best stuff in the MCU. We need more of that shit. What else?
Okay, more memes.
What else?
Quentin Beck, of course, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. They were trying to do a similar thing to...
which I did, like... I never remember the name. Like, I can either remember the face or the name of people. I can never remember both. As soon as he appeared, I was like, okay, that's Jake Gyllenhaal. Not, like, because I know who Jake Gyllenhaal is, but my mind went, I recognize his face. The name for it is Jake Gyllenhaal. So, just because of that, I immediately was like, well, this is very clearly going to be our next hero, like, our next, like, Avenger, quote-unquote, sort of thing. So, they got me great on that. My mind being so bad, like, was... perfectly suited for the twist.
Yeah, they nailed the vibe.
Yeah.
In the same way that, Vulture's played by a former Batman actor, as a sort of meta, like, he's got more of a, like, he's got more experience than you, kid. He knows more about the world, but he's got a similar vibe to you.
Yeah.
Like, in the same way, the reason they chose Jake Gyllenhaal was in part because he was supposed to be Spider-Man in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy.
Okay.
And he was dating Kirsten Dunst, who plays MJ in that Spider-Man trilogy. So they did it as a sort of, like, to play this character who's going to be the, like, I was supposed to be the next Iron Man, not you.
Yeah.
They went with I was supposed to be the next Spider-Man, not Tobey Maguire.
Well, the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Was there a live-action Spider-Man before the Tobey Maguire one? Like, any live-action Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I guess there was the TV show, right? There was a...
Yeah, there's a TV thing.
Right. Was there a live-action Spider-Man movie before that?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Just curious. I do know about the shit of, like, Spider-Man 3 having Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, like, casted in it. That's as far as I know.
In some way, yeah.
Yeah. Which, yeah, like, knowing that once we started getting into this movie, I was also just like... Yeah, okay, I guess we're gonna do all the timeline shit. I mean, I know they're gonna be in Spider-Man 3, so I didn't know if they were gonna be, like, doing a cameo sort of thing.
Right.
Or if it was going to actually be a sort of thing, but, yeah, it seems like what they're gonna do.
It was a really strong, like, it's a really strong mislead. It's
also,
wild,
like, the 616 thing.
Yeah.
Being, me going, like, what? And then being like, okay, so he's lying.
Earth 616, of course, is the main timeline for the Marvel comics.
Yeah.
Earth 833, which is where he said he was from, is the home of Spider UK, the Spider-Man who lives in the UK.
Okay.
It's a kind of a random pull. In this movie, they were also planning to bring in a character known as Captain Britain, who is an actual multiversal character.
Okay. Was that like the Night Monkey stuff kind of got?
A little.
Because that's what that felt like.
Yeah.
Like, playing up on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They decided not to go with it very early on, because also, like, Captain Britain's known for, like, the Captain Britain Corps. Like, that was when they were also thinking of, like, we're going to do some actual multiversal stuff, before they pared it back and were like, it'd be more interesting if it was fake multiversal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad that they did do the switcheroo and didn't just jump head first into multiversal shit already.
Yeah. It'd be a weird ending for Phase 3 if it was just like, alright, here comes the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was also very ballsy to go for Mysterio because, like, in the comics, like, I'd say Mysterio's pretty popular because he also has a very, like, distinctive look, like the big fishbowl head and the purple cape, green look.
I've definitely heard of Mysterio before.
Like, in most big villain lineups for Spider-Man, you'll see him there just because he's so distinct. To the point where, like, a few years ago when Doc Ock was in Spidey's body, they just had some guy who had the Mysterio armor. It wasn't Mysterio, but they were just like, yeah, we're gonna just have this guy be Mysterio because we need Mysterio's visible shape in this lineup.
So how... Actually, I just realized this is also one of the first movies that I had not looked at the trailers for before we did the discussion.
Right.
But also, so Mysterio is like a villain in the comics and everything.
Yeah.
So how did people going into this, what were they thinking?
I would say it was like 75-25. People who didn't really know about the comics were like, I guess this is a hero. Like, I believe all the trailers tried to shoot it as, he's a hero that Spider-Man has to live up to.
Yeah.
And they're fighting.
The people who knew Mysterio are more what I'm going for.
Almost certainly just like he's the villain. There's no doubt about it. The only other villains cast were the Elementals.
Yeah. And
they didn't have, like, human designs. And we didn't see, we didn't hear that people were cast for them.
Yeah, so...
It would be it'd be really weird if they did this villain is just not played by anyone. The only time that ever happened was Dormammu, and he was played also by Benedict Cumberbatch.
I totally would not have guessed.
But yeah, so it was a big, like, we know what the twist is gonna be, and so the fun of it was more of a, like, let's see how this plays out. That's also why, like, the twist happens, like, a third through the movie?
Yeah.
Like, pretty early on for a big, twist there. Because they did have to balance it between the people who were going to be completely fooled and the people who are like, I know what Mysterio is, I know he's the villain, get on with it.
Yeah. Alright, that's interesting to know.
Yeah. And I think they did, like... They helped him land a lot better by then focusing on the crew and the fact that, like, their interpretation of Mysterio is more of this, like, big drone-filled thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd say Mysterio in the comics is more of a, Like, sometimes it's drones, but usually it's just, like, hallucinogen gas. Like, he'll just give Spider-Man some LSD, and then he'll do, like, a lot of practical effects. Like, he's one of those... Like, entire genre of villains in comics is the villain that puts you in a very elaborately designed lair that must have cost millions of dollars for this one thing.
Yeah.
Mysterio's that guy.
Yeah, the more DC kind of villains.
Yeah.
That is actually what I think of when I think of DC, like the just giant buildings popping up somewhere.
I guess this was designed to teach me a lesson, but it was also supposed to kill me. I don't know what's happening here. Also, I'm on LSD.
Yeah. To be fair, that sort of stuff gets way more into like the emotions of, you know, the character rather than just like the boring kind of villains that we get in the MCU all the goddamn time.
Again, like, this is another thing where I think they really split the difference in that Mysterio's illusions are very fine-tuned to hurting Peter, but we don't really understand how that happens.
Yeah.
Like, parts of it, like, especially the, you know, like, the Iron Man zombie, that hits me as just like, yeah, of course, you know, they would know about, you know, his connection to Iron Man. That works. They probably made the zombie anyways because they wanted to punch it.
Yeah.
But, like, then you get the stuff like, you know, him being from Queens, or, like, the CG version of his school, where it's like, how did they know about this part? Or more of a, like, why did they model all of this?
Like, how do they film this?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I guess they did model it. Like, it's all CG.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, yeah, like, that is... So when do they have time for this? Do you know how much time it takes to render? And it's not like they have arc reactors. Well, I guess they did at that point. Well,
I don't think we saw any.
Yeah, at that point they would have.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see any, but, like, at that point they would have.
Yeah, they could have just said...
They could have, I should say.
Just ship us some arc reactors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they are the best in the business. So I can buy it well enough that they were like, yeah, let's do a big transition where there's a spider and then you zoom into the spider's eyes and all the eyes are Mysterio's helmets. How did Peter see that?
Yeah. There's so much with the Mysterio stuff that it's like, it's really cool in the moment, but then I would say about like halfway through the movie, or I guess not halfway, like after the twist, halfway from the twist to the end, for me it started to fall apart.
Okay.
Where like I was willing to like buy it and go along with it, and like there's so much that you have to go like, okay, you know, this is all timed so perfectly, whatever, blah, blah, but you're willing to let it go. And then I feel like that part, once Spider-Man starts going through that whole sequence, after that is when I started, you know, thinking way more like, how does this work? Like, what are they projecting on? They are all clearly projecting on something.
Right.
There is like this like sheeted like layer that you go into.
Right.
There is a passing by layer.
Yeah.
And then like when the water elemental, like assuming this is all like the sound, you know,
like they're blasting the water and like pushing it up.
But it's like realistically that the sound would be deafening. Like you would hear it for sure, and yeah, there's a lot of it that it really just does not. It's a fun idea, but in all honesty, I don't know if this idea was worth doing. Like, it was a really fun idea, but as a whole blockbuster movie that's going to be sticking around for, like, forever, maybe just do a different plot. Like, I don't know. It was too much, you know, to try and believe.
See, I do like that whole sequence, especially because, like, and to be fair, I did see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. So it is all modeled after that building. Like, you know, every time Spidey, like, you know, jumps and he actually does fall for a bit, but then he hits the ground, like, it is modeled out so it would work in that specific building. And they would have had time to model that out, because that is just an abandoned building.
Yeah, I don't mean the abandoned building, but the, like, when he's fighting the elemental at the end. Like, after that point, I'm saying after that sequence is when I started to be like, you know, I bought it throughout the whole sequence, it was great and everything, but after the sequence, it started, like, I started slowly going, like, how did some of that shit happen? And then the more we see it, the more it's like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, one of the ones, I guess, he was like, how is the Mysterio suit, like, enveloping him with all of his movements and everything?
Right.
Like, how is that tracking him? You know, there's so much going on that I would have wished that we either got more, like, scenes of how it worked at all.
Right.
The projections are, like, the main thing. The projections seem to work differently every single time we see them.
Yeah.
And that's that was the thing. Like, when Peter and MJ, like, see it, that was the part where it's like, what is going on? Like, these projections are different every single time.
Now, to be fair, like, especially the tracking part was, like, set up in Civil War.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, when the first time we ever see that technology, it is, you know, during the sequence where Tony's using it to, like, talk to his parents.
Yeah.
And, like, his parents do interact with him, and, like, the young... No.
But he was just watching that.
Yeah. Yeah, young him was, you know, a separate thing from him.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Because, they could track it, like, he could pick up something, but, like, it wasn't tracking something over him in the scene.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking more of just the, like, interacting with the environment stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they don't actually... Yeah, they didn't get to the point where he could have done that.
Yeah. I think there just could have been... I don't know. I'm done talking about it. I'm done.
Fair.
This drawing stuff's stupid.
I mean, yeah. I'd say the closest thing we get to that in the MCU is when Tony's, like, building the suit on him. Or, like, you know, when Peter does the same thing with the Spidey suit, where, like, he's making the arm, then he puts it on himself, and then he moves around with it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's
That's
still...
a good point.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'll take that. We have that sort of technology. But, yeah. I think that was a problem, though. It's like, this sort of stuff is there. It's just they could have established it more. Like, you know, I think having a montage of them, like, working out a simulation, like, we got them working out the simulation, but a montage of, like, the more specific stuff, like, what we see is just sort of like, okay, so it is like a thing they play back, and, like, we see how the damage works. But what we saw was what we were already told.
Right.
I want to see the stuff that we were not told.
Sure.
Like that, you know?
Yeah, I can buy that.
Or, like, you know, what the fuck are they? How do these projections work? Every time we see the projections, it's just either it's happening or we're, like, inside it. But, like, what is going on there? What is happening? Okay, so when I was first getting into the MCU, or before I had gotten into it, the thing I had heard was the MCU does not have very interesting villains or memorable villains or whatever.
Right.
Now that I am caught up, let's put that to the test.
Okay.
Which MCU villains have... Like, how should we stack this up? Can you think of a good non-MCU villain? Like, what's something we can stack them up to?
Frieza.
Frieza!
Sure, you didn't really like Dragon Ball Z.
I didn't really like that. But, let's say King Piccolo.
Okay, King Piccolo.
I don't know. I feel like that's gonna be so easy. These are not good villains. But it should be something that everybody can recognize.
Enel?
This is something that everybody can recognize.
One Piece is the most popular manga.
Fine. If they stack up to Crocodile or not, you know what?
Okay.
Screw it. If you want to do One Piece, I'll do One Piece.
I was going to pull a Superman villain out, but that's not going to work for you. Like, it's got to be something that we both
I don't want to compare it to One Piece. One Piece is the best thing ever. I can't compare it to that. Regardless, we're not going to compare it to anything.
Okay, fine.
Like, the only other thing I was going to think of was, like, Ozymandias, but it's like, that's not a fair comparison either.
Yeah.
But,
okay, like, let's just set a benchmark.
Yeah. Like, what is the best villain in the MCU? Well, Killmonger, for sure.
Yeah, Killmonger.
Killmonger, for sure. That's a different level. So,
Yeah.
below that, I think they have to be on the level of, like, Ego. Like, for me, I would say the good villains in the MCU are Ego, Killmonger, Stain, and, Vulture.
What about Loki?
Loki as well, yeah. Loki's such a weird one because it's, you know... Like, yeah, he is a villain.
Yeah, he's a villain.
It's just it's the only recurring villain, so it's so hard to, like, of course, it's like Loki and Killmonger on a different level because one's so reoccurring and the other one's just so good.
Yeah.
And then below that I would put Ego, Stain, and Vulture.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that you would put on that level?
No, not on that level.
Yeah, I don't think so. And then below that, is there anything else in another level before, like, everything else? Like, what other villains are memorable?
I think Zemo's memorable.
Zemo is... No, not really.
Okay, I like Zemo.
I like Zemo, but I'm not sure if he's memorable. Like, the idea of a person going after the Avengers and manipulating them is memorable. But Zemo, the person, not memorable, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah, Hela was not very memorable, surprisingly. Like, there's a lot of them who have a lot of great presence on screen, but not a lot of memorability or interesting factor.
Yeah. like I like Thanos, but I wouldn't put him on the same level as the villains you suggested.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think Thanos is the only other one where I would put, like, right between, you know, those three that I listed and then everybody else.
Sure.
I'll put them right in between, and I'm not sure how I'd put anybody else in that.
No, I'd make it Thanos and Zemo.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm willing to say, yeah, I agree. MCU, not a lot of great movies. Or, sorry, not a lot of great villains, I mean.
Yeah. Like
pretty lacking.
I would say...
TV shows, tons of them. TV shows, I got a list plenty, but yeah. Movies, not so much.
I'd say I'd classify a good villain to me as someone where I do want them to be in the sequel.
Yeah.
Like, even if, for instance, like, Killmonger's arc would be very bad if he was in the sequel. But I would still, like, you know, my gut instinct is, hell yeah, I want him in the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. I think that is the best way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like would seeing more of them, am I going to have the reaction? Like, if I saw Ego again, I'd probably have the reaction of, like, oh, cool, we're going to see more Ego. Whereas I see Ronan again, and I go, we're seeing this shit.
Yeah, like, especially because the MCU can now, you know, do, you know, stuff in the past and stuff in the future. Like, we could see Ego again.
They can now do it. Oh, you mean like through time travel? I thought you meant through flashbacks. And I was like, they can now do flashbacks.
Yeah. But yeah, like, we could see, like, Ego could be in Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, you know what, that's cool. I want to see him destroy a planet during that, you know, time when Peter was screwing around and not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, and, like, just talking about, like, you know, we're able to talk about Ronan a lot because of, like, just being a big villain in terms of, like, what they were doing.
Yeah.
But, like, it doesn't make them a lot more interesting just because we're talking about them a lot.
Yeah.
We're more just, like, talking about stuff surrounding them rather than them.
Yeah. I think that is, like, it's rough to, like, in my own reactions, I definitely give off the impression sometimes of really liking a character or a thing or a person because I talk about them a lot.
Yeah.
But when that is just a, like, I'm interested in these concepts, but when I circle back around to the character, it's still a, like, yeah, they set off a lot of stuff, or they're, you know, interestingly important, but I'm not, like, that into them. Like the Other, for instance. The Other is important, and I really enjoyed bringing him up in Endgame as a, like, you know.
We talk about him
he
a
is important.
lot.
But at the same time, the Other's not on this list.
No.
He's not a villain.
Yeah.
He's just there.
But to be fair, that is how I feel about Zemo. Zemo, I feel like, did a lot in the series and, you know, created a, you know, like, entire other, like, I mean, it just unraveled and everything has been cataclysming. That's not the right word for that, but I can't think of the right word for it. Just been snowballing since that point. He was, I think, the, like, biggest catalyst, even more so than, like, Winter Soldier with the shield going down.
Yeah.
That was, like, the biggest catalyst for everything snowballing so fast. And, yeah, I think the repercussions of Zemo's actions are very interesting to talk about and stuff, but Zemo themselves, I'm not very interested in.
That's
but
fair.
I can see why other people would be, especially, you know, if there's more comic stuff that you can, like, you know, intertwine and, yeah.
But yeah.
So, back to actual Spider-Man, this fucking movie.
Yeah.
God damn, I don't want to get back to it, but let's get back to it.
So, the Elementals were, like, not a big part of the movie. They are more of a plot device. They were named after, well, we don't even see their names. I think we do vaguely see them, like, in a projector at some points.
Okay.
They are Hydro Man, Sandman, Molten Man, and Cyclone.
All right. Why? Like, if the Elementals, why would you just call it fire, water, rock? Like...
Out of universe, that is of course a reference to 4 Spider-Man villains that are, like, element themed, but I don't think they've ever even been in, like, a group together. It is just a, like, it'd be funny to throw these in as references.
Yeah.
Because we know the Mysterio is, again, like, a created character who has, like, created lore, you know, written by someone who is writing it in universe. I want to know what their, like, thought process was behind naming 3 of them something man, something man, something man, then the 4th one is Cyclone.
Yeah.
It just feels like if I were Fury, I would definitely ask about that. Why is that one not Cyclone Man?
That's a good point. It's, yeah, just that does feel weird. Oh, and who named them?
It's real weird if, you know, if your planet is being destroyed by these elementals, and everyone's like, yeah, it's Molten Man. Molten Man killed my family.
Speaking of Molten Man, by the way,
yeah,
like, if there's one thing I would have wanted them to show as far as these projections, it would have been really nice to see that, just show us how that fight happened.
Right.
The Molten Man fight. Like the ground cracking open and lava coming underneath. I can imagine that it is them maybe either setting up detonations under the ground for this, or them just using the sound things to crack open the ground, and then playing an effect of magma going through it and everything.
Yeah.
But like, that sort of shit would sell the idea of this being crazily coordinated and like, you know, so much better.
Then also, I would have liked to have seen the drones like give off heat, like not fire necessarily, but like some sort of heat to sell then like why it is that in the Molten Man fight everyone, you know, understood the lava was hot.
Yeah.
Like,
did they not have it just fire?
I don't believe so.
I thought they had said they were setting off fire there, but maybe I'm just extrapolating and filling in information that wasn't there.
Because to be fair, it's also like partially drones and partially like, you know, they might be using other practical effects and whatnot.
Yeah, I thought they said something about fire, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But yeah, if they didn't, then yeah, I would definitely want to know what the fuck was going on with the fire and how they thought it was so hot.
Because there's a lot of like,
it's not just fire; it's molten lava.
Yeah,
that's hot.
Like, they can fudge it a little bit because all the lava goes into Molten Man and then he gets, you know, annihilated and Mysterio goes into him, so there's no evidence.
Yeah.
But it's still like, yeah, like, this isn't going to hold up to a lot of scrutiny.
You would also, like, it's a good thing that Spider-Man did not check any of his webs, because you would imagine that they would be, like, when he throws them into Magma Man, they probably did, like, shoot down his webs, which I don't even know if that works. Like, how would that?
Yeah.
How strong are his webs? Because I was thinking, like, fire wouldn't work on them. Why do I think the bullets could work on them, but fire wouldn't?
Right, it's...
Like, but then again, if bullets didn't work on them, he could just, like, do a web shield in front of himself, you know?
Yeah. I don't think we see the bullets ever destroy the web. I could be wrong, but
I don't think we ever see them not, like, I don't think he never catches the bullets with like web. So either way, it doesn't. But like, yeah, there could have been like moments where if like he like checked his web, he, you know, I'm like, this is not fire. Like, this did not get burnt off when I threw it in the Magma Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, having it be MJ is the better way to go anyway. But
yeah,
I'm not saying they should have done that. I'm just saying it's a good thing that he didn't.
And when you brought it up, like, you brought it up as a, like, oh, did she analyze the webs? Initially, I just took that as a, she looked at the webs and was like, yeah, these are Spider-Man webs.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I took that as because she's as smart as she is, she,
Yeah.
like, actually, like, analyzed them, like, scientifically, but...
Yeah, again, they didn't say anything, so we could go either way on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. In an early draft for the movie, like, the plan for the movie was always going to be, he's not in New York, so we don't have to worry about the iron spider armor. Like, you know, that's just in a weird floaty tank thing.
Yeah.
So we can't bring it. This allows us to do a classic Spider-Man adventure without everyone saying, why does he just summon the iron spider armor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also why they can do, like, you know, the stealth suit, and then at the end he gets to make his own suit for the first time, or for the first time since the garbage suit from Civil War.
It really seems like more and more, as we talk about this, the MCU is really running into the problem of now they want to do all the stuff that should have been happening before even Iron Man.
Right.
Or, like, you know, before Thor, rather, I should say. Or really just before the first Avengers. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of this stuff would have been solved if the fact they didn't, in between every movie, have to introduce a new system of infinite power.
Yeah. Like, the scale of the universe has been exploding, and, like, just the consequences for stuff has been exploding because, you know, because of the way they wrote it.
Yeah.
It is something that they could, you know, if they could have done a lot of stuff, like a Phase Zero, that would have helped a lot for all of the, like, smaller heroes.
Yeah, like maybe Thanos should have just won. You know, maybe Thanos should have just won, and we should have just switched over to another timeline and said, "Hey guys, it's kind of like that timeline, but not as crazy."
Yeah, or I mean, Thanos could have just done the snap, died, and then they didn't reverse it.
Yeah, because I think that could have like reverted a lot of the effects and stuff of you know, some of the shit. Like, but I mean, some of the shit is just out there. You can't undo it.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of technology you can't undo unless you're going to a timeline where there wasn't a Tony or there wasn't a 8 fucking billion smartest people in the world.
Like, once you can mass produce arc reactors, like, that's also the, like, this is now infinite energy. Whereas, like, even in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, it was the arc reactor is enormous, and we can only use it for, like, this one thing, and also it's poisonous. Like, there's a whole bunch of reasons why he wouldn't give everyone infinite energy.
Yeah.
And then by the end of Iron Man 3, it is there's he's scared about it, but at the same time, like, it's so easy to do.
Scared about giving people infinite energy. So where do we move on from here? I don't even know.
Oh, the reason I brought that up was specifically because I wanted to say that the initial idea for him making his own suit was going to be, like, he doesn't have access to any Iron Man stuff, and so he just makes it out of web.
Okay.
Because, like, his webs are super strong.
Yeah.
And it is, like, it would be the strongest thing he would have easy access to. So it would have been and there is a character in the comics who does that, who, like, just as an improv thing, initially she just, like, webbed herself up, and then that kind of just became her thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wish we'd had more scrappy Spider-Man, because, like, if he's in New York, there's no reason why he would either not use the Iron Spider suit, or why he wouldn't use his new techie suit. Like, there's no real reason why he would ever need to then, like, web himself up, or do the classic, in the comics, I think one of his most famous suits is the Bombastic Bagman, in which he was hanging out with the Fantastic Four, and he lost his suit. So they were like, okay, we'll give you a suit. And then he put a paper bag on his head, and he was swinging through New York with the paper bag and Fantastic Four suit. Like, there's a lot of shenanigans you can't do. And while that does make me excited on one level, because, like, I'm curious to see how they'll do it. I'm scared that they're going to just try and do small-scale Spider-Man without justifying it.
Yeah, it's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. Like, that's... You can't really do a lot of small-scale hero stuff anymore. Or, I mean, you can, but then there's the added layer of, why isn't anyone else doing it? In this movie, it was just straight up, there's not around.
Yeah, that was also, like, I get that now. And I wonder if that sort of thing of, like, where are the other heroes came from, like, this movie, or, Infinity War when Hawkeye and Ant-Man weren't there. Because, like, up until Infinity War was the first time where I had the problem of, where are these people?
Right.
Like, and the questions are not answered in satisfying ways.
Yeah.
Like, in this movie, there is at least an answer. I mean, like, there is an answer for the Hawkeye and Ant-Man
Sure.
stuff. But, like, in this movie, there's also an answer. And it's not a good answer. It's a shitty, disappointing answer. And, like, yeah, I have not had that problem for a long time.
Yeah.
But, like now it's really getting egregious.
Like, I'm someone who's fine with the Hawkeye and the Ant-Man stuff. Like, you got answers, I'm willing to buy them. Sure. But Far From Home was the first time where I went, like, this feels weird. Like, it feels weird that we're writing it off as a joke answer. And
it's really quick. It's not even just that, like, the answer is Talos doesn't have their number.
Yeah.
But that's not the real answer. Because the real answer is, like, why do none of them hearing about any of this?
Yeah.
You know?
Because, like, the movie is tied to the idea that these are Avengers-level threats. Like, that exact phrasing is brought up repeatedly by the Mysterio crew.
Yeah.
And if they are Avengers-level threats, why wouldn't someone come in?
Yeah.
Like, even if they're completely unaffiliated with Nick, like, why wouldn't, like, Falcon, for instance, say, I can't help, like, I can't fight a Molten Man, but I'm still gonna, like, ask someone else, or I'm going to, call up Thor.
Yeah, and it does, the fact that they're international is even weirder, because then it's like, well, where are the heroes over here? Like, you're telling me there's not, like, one Inhuman over here? Well, the Inhumans are not, like, whatever. But, like, one, whatever, Superhard, whatever.
Like, we made the joke about Night Monkey, and in earlier drafts, again, like, they were going to have a, like, UK hero round.
Yeah.
But that just, it brings up the question of, why weren't there any UK heroes?
Yeah, or anybody that really seemed to care.
Yeah. Like, we have the...
Again, it's the thing where, like, Fury is now part of this not shield thing, where it's like they're going around and doing the shield sort of stuff, and I have no idea what was happening with any of that throughout the movie. What was the building?
Which building?
The building that Fury was in.
That was an empty building. That was an abandoned building.
No, like the big skyscraper that he's watching the fight in. That's just an abandoned building?
Oh, that one. I didn't know what you were talking about. Right, that's just somewhere in London.
Because, like, they seem to have just, like, a whole office in London. Like, a whole building. You know, I didn't really understand what the hell was going on there.
Right.
I still don't. I don't know what's going. I don't know what was supposed to be implied there.
Fair. Like, I would agree with that. I don't think he owns the build or anything, but it does bring up the question of, like, what is Fury doing right now? Or, like, you know, even if that is, you know, like, if it's Talos, then what is Talos doing there? Like, what resources does he have?
Yeah, and it again seems like the thing where they are just, nobody even questions them. They're just kind of like doing S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, and people are letting them, and nobody is caring.
Yeah. It makes the twists a little weird as well, because you have, like, for instance, I thought it was really good the first time I saw the movie when, like, Peter and Quentin go to a bar, and the bar is, like, not acting at all like, you know, like, there's a big fight outside 5 meters away.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, yeah, Peter would be shooken up, he wouldn't question it, and then that is all acted. Like, it's all illusions, so fair. But then in other situations, we have things where, like, yeah, like, a big, you know, monster man will show up, and then no one really reacts to it. No one really, like, we don't see the civilians really do anything to it.
Yeah, like, you know, it makes for comedic scenes, but it's so weird when we cut to, like, the teachers just being normal, just being teachers, and then the giant water stuff, like, comes crashing out behind them, and it's like, are you not hearing the screams and the water crashing and the giant stuff above you smashing down? It makes the world just feel like a cartoon rather than live action. And it's like, I'm not getting into the MCU for cartoons. You know, there's nothing against animation. I watch plenty of animation, but superhero cartoons are just not something I'm into. Fair. I've never liked them, and that's what this feels like to me now. It just feels like cartoons, and I'm not into it.
Okay.
You know, I think that is. I think that's actually that is where I put it. That's how I've finally broken through. I've realized it.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever phrased it exactly like that, and I do think that's also why I'm so okay with it. Like, just in a radiation sense, like in a background sense.
Yeah. It
is because I've watched a lot of superhero cartoons, and the MCU, I do think, like, has been, like, especially Phase 3, has been trending more and more towards being more cartoony. Yeah. And I'm fine with that to an extent.
I'm fine with it too, and I would be more accepting of it if it was a cartoon. Like, I let cartoons get away with more of the stuff than I will this, because it's like the half and half, and it's just,
Sure. Because, yeah, like, I guess I would say, from the start, I wanted the MCU to be more cartoony. Like, that is why I didn't fully get into it in Phase 1. Because it was I don't like that we're acting like these are real people. It's bizarre. It feels strange.
Yeah, whereas, like, I am way more on that side. Right. You know, like, I have this weird, you know, side I realize where it's like, I want it to be realistic and I want them to act like they're real people going, and this is like, you know, like real world, it's live action, so I want it to be much closer to the real world.
Sure.
But at the same time, I don't like it when, you know, they make the suits more, like, realistic or whatever. I'm fine with the suits being, like, I want the designs and the suits to be as comic and cartoony as possible, but I want the plots and the way they act and the way they treat the suits being ridiculous to be real.
Sure.
Like, you know, when like Diamondback, you know, that's like one of the most ridiculous suits we have gotten so far, and like, you know, they in series laugh about it. Yeah. And it's like, I really like it. It's so goofy and so ridiculous looking, but I'm so glad that we got that and that we treat it as, you know, seriously as you should be treating it. Instead of just acting like there's not a man with a fishbowl and smoke in his helmet. Yeah. Which, by the way, I do know that, like, Vision in the comics originally was, like, a guy from, like, a smoke dimension or whatever. So, like, when this was popping up, I was like, okay, I guess we're doing, like, Vision 2, magician thing, like, you know. Right. I didn't know anything about that, but I know that has to do with magic as well, or something.
The first Vision.
Yeah, the very first Vision. In, like, the Golden Age. Yeah. It was, like, green, and, but yeah, so I figured, like, okay, we might be expanding something there, but there was so many things that were happening in my mind with Mysterio being introduced that, like, led me down the twist. Even though I was still calling it, like, as it was happening, I was like, here we go. But it still worked.
Yeah. And to be fair, I do think that is part of what the MCU really likes to do.
And like, really quick, even if you are, like me, were able to, like, you know, see the twist coming, like, as it's about to happen or whatever, it's still a different twist than what I was expecting. You know, like, with everybody in the bar working with him, and like, how he does it, they're being a team, and the Tony stuff, and
yeah, I'd say a big vibe of the MCU is the, like, we don't want to be smarter than the audience. We want the audience to feel smart. Yeah. And so, like, they have, like, stayed away from a lot of the galaxy brain, like, you gotta rewatch it 5 times to understand it stuff. Because it is, like, it works, and there are certain directors who can make that work. But it isn't, like, you know, the kind of thing you can just sit down and say, I want to watch a movie, let's watch this.
Yeah.
Whereas something like that twist especially, no matter what you know about Mysterio, or if you know nothing about it, it is still satisfying on multiple levels. Whether it is a, I can't believe this is happening, or if it is a, I called it but not exactly like this, or even if it is a, I exactly called this.
Yeah.
Like,
so, yeah, I mean, it's something there for everybody.
Yeah. Like, they're getting better and better at that aspect of the entertainments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Agree. Anything else you want to talk about? You got some trivia or anything?
I will say, it is really weird that they immediately phased out Karen for Edith.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I don't care. I didn't care about Karen. I haven't cared about Friday, Karen, or Edith.
Sure.
None of them have been interesting.
Like, I remember that especially standing out to me as a, like, I get the concept of the system being called Edith, but why is it not Karen in the system?
Yeah.
Like, why did we just immediately drop that for no reason?
That's what the MCU does, baby. Drop it between the movies. Drop it like a hot potato. Get it out of here. Who needs that character development in the movie?
You know who J. Jonah Jameson is, right?
Yeah.
So, his actor is the first actor to play the same character in, like, 2 different universes, one of which includes the MCU.
Okay.
Like, that is the actor who plays J. Jonah Jameson in the original Spider-Man trilogy, the Tobey Maguire one.
Oh, that's cool.
It was one of those really big, like, people, like, there's speculation that the character would appear in the movie in some way, and everyone was like, who could they possibly get who will do a better J. Jonah Jameson than J.K. Simmons? Because he is so iconic now. Like, he fit the character so perfectly when the movie came out, and the comics have only, like, leaned further in. Like, you know, as the comic house style of Marvel has gotten more realistic, they've aimed way more as a, like, yeah, that is just the way J. Jonah Jameson would look. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally buy it.
Yeah. The only change they really made was making him bald and then taking inspiration from the PS4 game. They tried to make him more of a Alex Jones type.
Yeah. But the way they're introducing and everything.
Yeah. Because no one reads newspapers anymore. Like, that would be the house arrest for everyone. That would be the thing that people would not buy if they said J. Jonah Jameson runs a newspaper in 2023 and everyone like pays attention to it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the conservatives are going to get back to that with the fact that every fucking site they keep trying to do keeps getting taken down. We're going to go back to newspapers. It's going to be even more believable.
My family just got a conservative newspaper, like, physically, like, you know, not wanted. It was just they just sent it to everyone.
Yeah. And
that really freaked me out because I picked it up and I was like, this isn't our normal paper. What is this? Oh boy, this is what this is. What?
Yeah. Oh, we're getting back. We're going to go back. Back to newspapers. James gonna make some bank. But yeah, I like the way they I didn't know that was like more of the video game thing, but yes, I like the fact they lean more into that a little bit. A little bit, you know? Yeah.
Like, this came out after the video game and after Spider-Verse. Like, the animated movie Spider-Verse.
Okay, this came out after Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So, they didn't get, like, they weren't super heavily influenced, but some of the Mysterio stuff especially was this animated film was really cool. And we don't have anything that comic booky here except for Spidey's eyes. Like, you know, the fact that they grow and shrink.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, let's try to go a little more wacky with some of these visuals.
Now that you said that, I can totally see it, yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a, clipped moment from an animated movie.
Yeah. They were also really struggling with how to depict the Spidey sense. Because, you know, in the previous movies, they never did. They just, you know, had him react. And it was supposed to be we're not doing a big ping or anything, but you're supposed to understand he's using it.
Yeah.
And in this movie, when they were like, okay, this is going to be a big deal, they still didn't, give him a big, exclamation mark or anything.
Yeah. And I do like that, you know, the little, lines above the head. Those I actually do like.
Yeah. The closest we get to a, visual Spidey sense thing in the movie is when he's fighting in, when he closes his eyes and he's fighting in the hall.
I mean, that's the only time he really uses it.
I mean, he's supposed to be kind of using it in different scenes.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not get that.
Especially with the drone stuff, where he's, flying, he's, jumping around and, dodging drone fire and stuff.
I did not get that I was supposed to be, you know. I thought the only time he used it in the movie was the corridor.
No. So, like, that's the kind of thing where, you know, not having a clear visual for it does make it hard to tell, like, is that what's supposed to happen? Or is he just, you know, dodging it because we see a lot of other heroes also just, you know, like, dodge stuff out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah. Like, I did assume that he was not using, like, that was the first real time we had seen him in the movie use, like, the spider sense. Like, I had assumed that, okay, so we didn't see it in any of the other movies. Like, that was just his reflexes, and spider sense is something else.
No. It was supposed to be the spider sense in, like, starting in Civil War, we were supposed to be seeing it. It's just they didn't have a visual indicator.
Yeah. I assumed he was doing it in Civil War, but this movie made me think in retrospect that he was not.
Right.
But, okay, so he was. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's a fault.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you're gonna do the, like, here's all the stuff throughout the MCU that I didn't watch.
Oh, yeah.
But,
at this point, I was going to, but at this point,
I'm not gonna push you one way or another, but...
I might.
Yeah. They did do some extra Jonah Jameson, like, you know, news clips and stuff.
Okay.
So that'll be at, like, you know, the very end if you ever do that.
Yeah.
We see a lot of, like, you know, just, like, stuff flashing on the screen, you know, with both the text thing and also when Peter's, like, flicking through those movies.
When Peter's... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, on the plane.
Yeah.
The movies he was looking at were Finding Wakanda, which is, like, clearly a Wakandan documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Hunting Hydra.
Finding Wakanda is such a... Boy, real powerful title. Real shit. Tells you everything you need to know right there in the title.
It's not made by Wakandans.
Oh, no. You... Oh, boy. I the only other one I saw was one that was just called Hail Hydra.
It was Hunting Hydra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's, yeah, a little more.
I can understand with, you know, the H's.
That came out now?
I mean, to be fair, I guess we don't know that these came out right now.
Yeah, but, like...
Yeah.
We don't know, but it seemed like it.
Yeah. There was...
I assumed that these were, like, they were showing them as, like, movies that had came out since the blip.
Right. Yeah, like, they all have to be blip time movies, at the very least, I imagine.
That's what it seemed like, but maybe not.
So, Hunting Hydra, Nova, Einstein Rosenbridges with Dr. Eric Selvig.
Say that again?
So, Nova is a real-world documentary series.
Okay.
So, it's Nova, Einstein Rosenbridges with Dr. Eric Selvig.
Oh, okay. It was really awesome.
Yeah. And The Snap.
Just The Snap?
Yeah. Which is presumably a documentary talking about Infinity War and Endgame, I believe.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd probably just be talking about Infinity War. It'd probably just be talking about The Snap.
Yeah. It could be either.
Yeah. That's the kind of shit where you have to watch a documentary on that, because it's like, what the fuck did happen? I need to know. Oh, wait, cool. Excuse me? There was a... Like, learning about what the snap was, why the snap happened, like, are they going to get into that? Like, you know...
I mean...
How much do they explain?
How much do they know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, how much... Because, like, it's more like how much are the Avengers going to explain. Because the Avengers know pretty much everything.
Sure. But, I mean, also, like, if the Avengers are just saying it, how do you know that's real?
Yeah. Yeah, that's also true. But, I mean, you got to kind of take their word for it. They're the only fucking people there.
I mean...
If you have, like, 300 people all saying, like, yeah, you know... I mean, like, the more... intricate stuff, but you have about like an army's worth of people that were there, like fighting to, you know, corroborate various stuff. But yeah, for the most part, for like the reason why, yeah, you kind of just have to take a couple of people's word on it.
Yeah.
But like, I'd take Captain America's word on it.
I mean, one of the big things I liked about the movie was, again, like the fact that the Mysterio's plan only works here at the end of Phase 3.
Yeah.
Because it is the, like, you know, people will believe anything. I really like that as a counter to the classic thing people bring up of, if you live in a, you know, comic book world, you should believe anything. When this character says, hey, I'm, you know, this god you've never heard of, why would anyone say, no, you're not, or I've never heard of that, or I don't believe that?
Yeah.
Like, it is a real, like, if, you know, either people do, you know, like, I mean, it is down to the person. But it is a mix of, like, yeah, there are going to be people who will completely buy stuff just because crazier things have happened, but also it's completely valid for there to be people who just don't believe stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is a, like, yeah, you know, Thor said he's a god. That doesn't mean I'm Christian.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That doesn't mean anything.
the whole thing is the people believe anything. But to be fair, as much as I said the twist worked to me, the whole movie I was going, I don't trust this guy. I don't believe him.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I wasn't believing he was anything like this, but
Yeah.
and I didn't disbelieve that he was a time traveler, or
Yeah.
not a time traveler, but a like dimension hopper. I guess time traveler as well. Whatever.
Sure.
He didn't really say that. To be fair,
Yeah.
that would have been an easy way to get him. Like, how did you travel through time? Did you get small?
Yeah, I mean, he does get to this Earth before the elementals start appearing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So it would have to be time travel. But shit. What was I saying?
I don't know what you're saying.
Oh fuck, bad ADHD brain.
Oh.
I don't know.
It was about, just general belief. I can keep on going on that.
Okay.
So, like, I appreciate it as I think the thing I appreciate the most is that the movie does not end with and he was never believed. It does end with and everyone believed him, and Jonah Jameson is going to keep on saying this man is the greatest hero.
Yeah.
Like, it is a big, who's going to dispute it now? Because now it is legitimately Spidey versus this guy, and that is also an explanation as to, like, why were there drones there?
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, how do you like counter the execute them all? Like, when Spider-Man said that, I thought he was about to kill people.
Right.
It seems like he's about to start shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
When they started leaving, I was like, oh, that's what he meant?
It's just a bad phrase.
Yeah, it's like...
It is the perfect, in context this works, but you can't, I know no one's going to believe me on this one. No one's going to believe what I meant by execute them all was execute the orders to get them all away.
And if he has a bunch of drones and you're saying the phrase execute them after you just accidentally almost drone striked your friend in a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you clearly don't deserve to have this. Nobody deserves. Well, I said deserved.
Sure.
Nobody should. Certainly not him.
But yeah, it is a perfect explanation, because the world can now believe that, yes, the elementals were all real, that was a combo elemental, Mysterio, beat that, and then died, and then Spider-Man's drones were also there fighting it.
Yeah.
And then Spidey did all the bad stuff. It's a real hard one to fight.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Mysterio fighting them and everything, it is a testament to how bad the MCU is that when he did that super cheesy, I'm gonna throw myself into this and this is my last blah, and then he was fine at the end, and I'm just like, oh god, the MCU is getting so fucking shitty. I totally bought into this is what we're fucking doing now.
I love every time they play the clip of him screaming, "Oh, this is for my family."
Yeah. But that's the thing with the MCU. There's so much tonal shifting. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or not.
Right.
I know it is in this movie. When it's happening in the moment, I'm always like, I don't know if this is supposed to be funny or if this is just bad writing. I have to wait for the punchline.
I'm fine with both.
But yeah, I still can't remember what the hell I was talking about, so just move on to something else.
All right.
I wish I remembered.
So, where do you think we're going with Spidey's dent being revealed? It is very much like an escalation of the stinger of the first movie, where Aunt May figures it out.
Yeah, and it doesn't really do anything. It is a continuation of that, but that didn't really have any effects either.
So, I mean, I guess that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to have effects?
I think it's going to have effects for the movie itself.
Okay.
People are going to care because of the drone stuff, and then the movie's going to settle that in the movie itself, and then people are going to be like, okay, we don't care anymore.
Okay.
In the way that people don't really care if Spider-Man's just, standing next to him in the street here. Mm-hmm. So, it doesn't really seem like they would care who his identity is. Back in the day, people cared when Tony was like, I am Iron Man. But nowadays, if it wasn't for the drone situation,
right,
if he just came out and said, I am Peter Parker, they're just like, oh, okay, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah, it might have some, effect for villains and stuff,
sure.
But as far as, the people, they don't really seem like they give a shit about things.
I mean, he is one of the only MCU, heroes to have a secret identity,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree that I don't think it's going to be that big or that like terrifying. I think like the drone stuff is the major like that's really messed up. Is Spidey now a war criminal like Captain America?
Yeah. Like, the world we kind of live in is if you were walking down the street and you saw all of the actors that were playing the Avengers and everybody didn't care.
Right.
Like, that's the kind of world they live in.
Yeah.
It's weird. And that's a way lesser level of celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, yeah, it's so bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it is like if Tom Holland was just standing on the street and nobody was, like, looking at him or... Like, that's the thing. It's not even that nobody, like, is going up. It's that nobody's even looking at him. Nobody even is acknowledging that their presence is there.
Right.
They're swinging around. Nobody looks up. Nobody cares.
They land. Everyone's just kind of, like, looking around in the background.
Yeah. It's insane. I can't handle it.
Yeah, there's nothing else I really want to say.
Okay.
Like, the like every time we see a license plate, like that's usually a reference to a specific comic.
Sure, like a number or whatever.
Yeah. Like the first time we see, Rock Monster in the intro, Nick Fury's car has the title, like, the name and number of the first Spider-Man in the comic where Sandman shows up. That kind of thing. It's something where I want to, like, interrogate you with it.
Yeah. You said that you wanted to tell me about the Flash's character arc.
Oh, yeah.
What was Flash's character arc in this movie? After you were like, I don't think you caught the subtlety of Flash's character arc.
Character arc's probably a bad way to put it.
But yeah, so explain to me what was going on with Flash.
So, the thing that really bridges the obvious parts is a text message he gets when Peter's looking through everyone's text messages.
Okay.
Where he's messaging his parents, and he is, like, it's, like, a few lines where he is just like, hey, Mom and Dad, you haven't contacted me at all since I've been here. I was wondering if you want to talk to me. But, like, that really bridges to me the live streaming, him not getting a response from his parents for days upon days while he's in another country being attacked by monsters, and then at the end where their butler picks them up, and he does, like, specifically ask the butler, like, so Mom, Dad couldn't make it?
Yeah, that was so weird. Like,
like, it's not an arc. It is confirmation that Flash has parents who don't love him.
It felt like, it felt like this was for the people who were complaining about them making fun of Flash too much in the first one.
Yeah.
Like, we all know that Flash has a background. Like, everybody like that has a fucking background like that. Do we need to have this, it's like Spider-Man's origin story. It's like, do we need to have this for every rich fucking character, for every bully character? Do we need to have their parents are short shitty, though? It's like, yeah, we know! We don't need to spend time on this. Why do we care? God.
Because even without that, he still serves a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he is, like, something that happens a lot nowadays. He is the kid who is constantly live streaming. And then it does play a role where, he does straight up say, I stream because no one likes me. And then he gets the validation of, yeah, Spider-Man does look at your streams, though. Even if you're not even popular on streaming, Spidey watches your streams.
Spider-Man does watch them.
And he likes Spider-Man. It is this validation of his parents don't love him, but Spider-Man does. But Spidey did crash his car once.
It is wild that they would have no way of knowing where they were other than Flash's live stream. Like, none of them post on Twitter or Facebook or any other social media. Nah. It's just Flash.
It's Flash.
But yeah, I would have liked to have more of the Flash. Like, I feel like spending that time with the mother thing could have been spent on better Flash jokes.
Sure.
And Flash is 100% gay.
Yeah.
At least bi. I will not take it. that wink. What other reason for that wink?
Let Peter and Flash date. It's not going to work out because none of these relationships work out, but whatever. They can do it for a movie. They can try.
With Happy and Aunt May, I'm still not sure if Happy is actually in love with her or if he just wants to eat her. Happy constantly,
no.
His horny face is constantly like a hungry face, and I don't know. Happy's not a character that I think of as a character who is like a, oh, he loves food or whatever. But
Yeah.
every time he keeps looking at May, he looks so hungry. It's creepy. I don't know why I had to bring this up.
Yeah.
It's just every time I look at it, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. I don't think of it as being like a perverted look or a horny look.
No.
It does look like he's just kind of hungry.
It looks like the literal definition of the word thirsty.
Oh.
Yeah, the teachers were also great this movie, Martin Starr and J.B. Smoove. Like, they absolutely sold it.
I just want to say,
Was J.B. Smoove in the first one?
Yes, he was the gym teacher.
No, he wasn't. That was Hannibal Buress.
Was it not?
That was Hannibal Buress.
Huh. Was he?
Because I don't remember him being in the first movie, whereas this one, he had such a big role, and, like, the hilarious role. I fucking love what did he say? I don't remember. We came to Europe to see something, well, now we're leaving because of witches.
We came to Europe for science, and we're leaving because of witches.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't in the original.
Okay, he wasn't.
He's not Hannibal Buress.
Okay, yes, I know he's not Hannibal Buress.
I didn't know.
They
look identical.
Yeah, jeez. But yeah, I think he honestly sold the show more than Martin Starr, which Martin Starr's character also, well, I don't know any of their characters' names in the show.
Roger Harrington.
I'm not going to remember that. But,
you don't need to. Or Mr. Harrington.
Yeah, but, yeah, in the first one, he was a lot more sedated and a lot more just like the monotone kind of, the way that Martin Starr kind of always is in his roles.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, he was a lot more animated and a lot more, it felt like that frantic kind of teacher rather than the monotone one.
Yeah.
Which I really fit, because I really felt fit this. Like, you have the extremely suspicious J.B. Smoove, and you have the extremely, like, go with the flow, trusts literally everything Martin Starr. Yeah.
They're a good combo.
And yeah, like, they played up them way more than the kids. They made, like, all the kids take a lot more of a backseat this movie. Other than Brad, which they didn't do anything with.
He's just very sexy. And he takes dick pics.
It was like an implied, like, MJ didn't like him the whole time, or was, like, kind of annoyed by him. Even though they were just, like, watching movies for, like, 8 hours together.
You cut me off before, but I do want to say, that is also why I thought that Peter and MJ weren't going to get together at the end of the movie. Because the theme of the movie, like, the romantic theme, I should say, seems to be, like, relationships don't work. Or rather, like, you know, like, relationships can work, but like no one in this movie is having a active relationship.
Yeah.
Because we get like we have Happy and Aunt May. We have like whatever is going on between those two. We have like every other relationship between MJ and Peter.
The lie of Mysterio's family.
Yeah. Like it felt very thematically appropriate for it to end with Peter going like, well, I'm not going to make this work. And I guess it also works as a, you know, no one else's relationships work and they're all confusing and they don't make sense, but I'm going to try and make this one work.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay either way, but I think it would be more, like, put together if it ended with them going like, yeah, you know what, this didn't work out.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it feels weird with them being together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I like the first movie for the fact that it wasn't, you know, MJ. Like, it was someone else. And they, like with the Spider-Man swinging around New York, they just immediately like, we're gonna do MJ though. We're just gonna not even establish why Peter likes her now.
After the re-release, I don't think you were really into the MCU at all at that point, so you probably don't remember this. But that was also when Marvel and Sony did the big ol' Disney came back to Sony and said, you know what, the MCU is big, it's enormous, you need us more than we need you, so we're going to renegotiate the contract.
Oh, yeah.
Like, famously, Disney does a lot of work for the solo Spider-Man movies, but they don't get anything from them.
Yeah.
But in exchange, they're allowed to, like, have Spidey be in other movies that are in the MCU.
Yeah, which is completely fair.
Mm-hmm. They tried to renegotiate it to a, no, we want money from everything, and also we want more control over the character. Mm-hmm. Like, you can still own the character. We know you're not going to give up Spider-Man. He's the biggest character in the world, but we're going to take more of what we deserve. And Sony immediately said, we're making a universe. That was also when like the Blu-rays were coming out for Far From Home, so they also did a big. It wasn't all of them, but I remember when they made that announcement, they also started putting out Night Monkey commercials as they like, hey, you know, maybe we won't be able to we can't even call him Spider-Man anymore. Who knows? But we know we know you're gonna still buy it.
My God.
Go check out Night Monkey.
They're like a bunch of fucking children.
Disney made Tom Holland's do a big all like, yeah, not part of the MCU. This movie might not be canon. Sony grabbed Tom Holland. They were like, okay, you gotta tell everyone it's gonna be okay. And he was like, listen, guys, Sony's got big plans. It's gonna be really dope. I'm sorry that I'm never going to meet any of my friends who work for Marvel anymore, but I don't. It's all gonna be good. Don't worry, guys. And it did end with Disney calling the bluff and going like, or not calling the bluff, accepting the bluff and going, oh no, they're gonna do it. We didn't expect this. We need Spider-Man.
It's just this so like sandbox fucking fights.
And Sony, like, to be fair, if I were Sony, I would also continue to do the universe, which they are.
Yeah.
Like, it's just now a simultaneous, you know, the plan is still on. Spidey can still be in MCU movies. The Spidey movies that Sony makes are still canon to the MCU. But they're also doing separate movies with the licenses they have, like Morbius and Venom 2 and some other stuff.
Yeah, like, why not? Who cares?
Yeah. Because it is a, like, if Disney wants to say those are canon too, they can, but they don't have control over those ones.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's, you know, just putting the ball in their court. Like, if you want to be a petty piece of shit, then you can be a petty piece of shit. And we're going to continue doing what we want.
Yeah. Like, Sony's got their missteps, but I would... Yeah.
Not pro Sony, just anti-Disney.
I can just relate, I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah.
I relate. If I were in that situation, I wish I would do the same thing. I might have caved. I might have been like, oh no, we need that MCU money.
Yeah, like, this makes me happy in the same way that Alan Moore was like, I want to give all the proceeds to the person who made the rip-off Captain Marvel or whatever it was.
The guy who originally stole Marvel Man.
Yeah, like, you know, I love that sort of. Just like, I have no stakes in this. I really don't care, but I just love that they got fucked over. You know,
right,
I love that they were like, no, you know what? You're not gonna get the money. This guy's gonna get the money. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. Anything else you got?
Nothing that wouldn't be better in like a different thing. Like, I'm done with Far From Home stuff, so yeah, we should probably just end it. Okay.
Bye. Go away. Again, to reiterate, I'm probably not going to be doing Phase 4. Maybe by the time I get back up to there, maybe. Yeah. But right now, I don't have any plans to do Phase 4, so I'm probably not going to be talking about, like, you know, I said we were going to do a whole, like, what's going to happen in Phase 4 discussion. Right. I don't think we're going to do that.
Fair.
I might do a, you know, talking about everything so far, but we're not going to do a predictions for Phase 4, actually, because I don't want to. And that's that. See you for Spider-Verse.